What I'm about to say in this video, it's common sense for many of you already. But for those that are new to the channel, who haven't watched many of my previous videos, I'm recording this. Not everyone will be happy with the upgraded version of you. You think that if you improved, people would love you. You think that if you quit smoking, quit drinking, quit gambling, quit fornicating, quit cussing other people out, you think that if you stop doing all of those bad stuff, that people would embrace you. You think that if you would walk uprightly, you become beneficial to the community, you become ambitious according to your natural design. You think that if you operate in solutions, people will embrace you. And that's to expected, right? It's expected that if you contribute to problems, that people want you out. Because somebody wants someone to bring disruption, right? So you think, if I'm a part of a problem, of course people don't want me around. But the moment I improve, people will embrace me. Well, I have news for you. It doesn't work that way. Just look at scripture. How often didn't it happen that God brought solutions in someone's life and the environment turned on that individual? Let's look at David. Okay? David came from a household where he was rejected. When Samuel came and asked Jesse, bring all your sons so that I can anoint the right one, he did not even consider it worthy enough to bring David. So he didn't want people to even know that David was his son. But Samuel told them, Jesse, you have another son. And they brought David, and David was anointed. David received empowerment from God himself. And in this empowerment, he defeated Goliath, that Nephilim. So things were working out for David. Guess what? David's own relatives turned on him, accusing him of thinking he's something. Soon, King Saul himself, who benefited from David's service, turned on him. Soon, some of the locals turned on David because they didn't want to put up with David's influence. So, look at this. You have someone that grows up in an oppressive environment where he is not acknowledged. God comes along through the prophet Samuel and gives a solution. More than a solution. He is freed from that stigma of rejection. Now what happens? Those that enable the stigma of rejection are upset now because their will is challenged. Because they don't want to face themselves. They don't want to face themselves and admit that they've contributed to problems. No, they want the victim to be blamed so that they are left alone. So they don't have to face themselves. And now, you have this guy that used to have a stigma. He's now free from it, and he has influence in society. Big influence. And his influence reveals all the darkness of the people. So now the people, they don't want to be challenged. They don't want to change. They don't want to be dealt with. So now they turn on David. David, despite Saul's persecution, he became king of Judah, and it took 8 more years for him to become king of the whole Israelite confederacy. Why? Because those 8 years were 8 years long of fights, because people didn't want to let go of Saul. Even though Saul was a genocidal, demon-possessed maniac, they preferred that genocidal, demon-possessed maniac above David because they couldn't control David. Let's continue. Let's look at the man that was born blind. He received his sight from Christ. When he walked around freely throughout town, people were thinking, is this the man that was born blind? Others said, no, it looks like him. They knew it was him. They just didn't want to acknowledge it's him. So they reported it to the authorities. And authorities, they arrested the guy. They interrogated him as if he was a criminal. And the guy told them, a man called Jesus, he healed me. And he told them, if God does not listen to sinners, then this man must be righteous. But now the local authorities were against Christ. So now they took out their anger on him by banning him from the synagogue. And even his own parents didn't stood up for him. What was going on? This man was around 40 years old. I believe even above 40. Well, anyway, around 40 years old. So he was of a respectable age. He was born blind. He couldn't see clearly. And now he was able to see. And he glorified Christ. And he did not disrespect anyone. He did not dishonor anyone. He just told the truth. And he was the evidence of the truth. But because people were not waiting for solutions, they turned on him. Now let's go to another part in the New Testament. Yet this man was demonically possessed with a legion of evil spirits. When the human being recognized goodness coming from Christ, he ran to Christ and asked Christ to free him. But the evil spirits took over and, well, actually evil spirits blasphemed Christ, saying, asking what he came to do over there. So even though the man was possessed with a legion of demons, the human being was still there and the human being wanted help. The man received help. He was restored to his right mind. He became sane. What happened? This man became like that due to violence of the community. So he was a victim that escalated. So he was the victim there. The victim of the collective violence of the community. So when he was freed from the violence of the community, the violence returned to the community. But Christ permitted the demons to inhabit the herd of swine, and now the herd of swine destroyed itself. It should have been the people that would have turned on each other and killed one another, but now the swine killed themselves. So Christ showed mercy even to the people that were the perpetrators. So when they were exposed to the power of Christ, they began to ask him to leave. They did not want any solutions. The reason why they victimized that man to begin with was because they didn't want to face themselves. They didn't want to face their unexamined expectations. They didn't want to face their narcissism. They didn't want to face their unreasonableness. They didn't want to face their own violence. They didn't want to face anything. So they wanted all the tension of their negativity to be dumped on someone. So by doing that, all the demons that linked around also were pushed onto that one victim. When Christ came and delivered that man, and he offered them a solution, actually he offered them the solution, his strength, they didn't want to face themselves. They didn't want to comply with justice. What am I saying in this video? Don't think that people will embrace and rejoice over solutions. There are those that will rejoice when solutions come. They exist, absolutely, and there are quite a lot of them. But looking at the majority, in general, you should not expect people to embrace and to welcome solutions. Because solutions imply that something needs to go. And that something needs to go is something they're enabling. So they are the cause of what needs to go. If they are the cause of what needs to go, that means that they need to be dealt with. They need to change. They need to comply with the new situation. And what if you don't want to comply with the new situation? Because that would mean they have to face themselves. That would mean they need to admit things about themselves. Then that means they need to treat other people better. That means they need to give up some of their quote-unquote interests. They're not willing to do any of that. So when solutions come, they fight against it. And if they can't fight against it anymore, they will escalate. They will become explosive. They will become time bombs. There were times when Christ healed someone and he told them not to tell anyone about this. Why? Because Christ knew that a lot of folks don't want solutions. And here's another thing. This is what I'm telling to you directly. A lot of people only want you around if you're worse off than them. This is not everyone, okay? So I'm not overreacting. So don't become paranoid thinking that everyone's out there to catch you. No. What I'm telling you is a lot of people, they only will tolerate you. They will only want you around as long as you're worse off than them in some place in your life. It can be that you have a job, that you're not homeless, and all of that, but it can be that you have an anxiety issue. And now they feel better about themselves because they're comparing themselves with you and they don't have an anxiety issue, so they feel relieved. That's why they're with you, because you are their narcissistic supply for them to feel at ease. If everything goes well with you all the time, there are going to be a lot of people that will leave you. there are going to be a lot of people that will become upset with you. They will attack you. They will want to harm you because everything goes well with you. Because your well-being, your prosperity reveals their defects. And they don't want to face their defects. Because facing their defects is very painful. So now they want to transfer this pain onto others by attacking others. Some people will turn into your enemy, dedicated to take you out. Even if it means harming themselves in the process, they will do that because they, God forbid, never want to face themselves. Because, oh, God forbid that they would ever have to give accountability for their BS. They don't want that. A lot of folks don't want solutions. I want this to get through to you. And you cannot be at peace with people who don't want solutions. It's not going to happen. So, whenever you encounter such people, just shake them off of you and continue. Yes, it will be painful for a while, but it's better for them to expose who they are, because once they've exposed who they are, they have sabotaged themselves openly. And once they've sabotaged themselves openly, there's no turning back. So now they can only flee from you. Because anytime they encounter you, that self-sabotage will be triggered in them, and they are the ones falling apart internally because of it. So now they have sabotaged themselves, and they can't blame you for it. So anytime they see you now, they are fleeing from you. And because they're fleeing from you, they can't attack you. So when they fall out against you and they sabotage themselves, let it happen. Now you can freely shake them off of you and nobody can blame you. Just understand, some folks don't want solutions. They want relief at everyone's expense. And the only reason they want you around is when they can get narcissistic relief at your expense. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.